Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, built for real estate professionals that want to work less, earn more, and make an impact in their community. For information on how you can become part of the estate professionals community, visit probatemastery.com.
Hello, everybody. If you guys are in a committed room where you're not in your car or walking around, please unmute yourself. Let's have a conversation. Initially, if you have any questions for me that you've seen me on a different call, that you may have a question about probate or converting leads and contacts to appointments, let's just start it off with somebody.
Yeah, hi, David. This is Kurt Osby. How are you?
Hey, Kurt. Good.
Good. Quick question. When you first talk to somebody on the phone and they're not really ready to get going, is there something you send them just so you can start the process? Is there like well, let me send you what resources we have, and just to kind of let them have something even though they're not ready for you yet?
Yes and no. Because for being for the business being a realtor and investor, I want to identify if they are going to sell a property or not. They may have, some people sometimes in probate think you're calling about the car or the estate sale or some other reason. So I always like to clarify if they have real estate. I actually go faster on clarifying that, but most people train on. Because I send a letter prior to making contact. I want to brand myself in the mail. Probably the first 45 days, 3 letters, actually 9, but I'll share that later. So I like to brand myself. There's no rhyme or reason. I don't get better conversions if I send a cake in the mail, or a coffee cup like Bill Gross. I don't see a difference in the conversions. I just see a difference if they like me, and if they're ready to make a decision on moving the estate forward, or if they can. In Texas, we have the ability to separate the real estate from the confirmation early on, so they could pay for the probate or have funds in the estate account to deal with stuff. So if there's not a lot of heirs and the PR has control of the estate and they're not waiting for the heirs or family members to make decisions so they feel good about the decision, they would usually let me lead them a little bit more than some PRs. So every situation is different. So you just got to ask those qualifying questions. Gotcha. And if it's worth you to send something like that in the mail. If I have a really good conversation with somebody, I'm going to send them a Starbucks gift card and a short note saying thank you for having a conversation. But they end up on my Prime list, and right now I have about 43 people on Prime that they're not committed to an appointment yet. But at least I'm having a conversation with them. And I usually it used to be 25. Now that I'm sending letters and making calls, it usually hovers around 50 people that are always on my follow-up list. To get into this call, Bruce asked me to go over, I actually want to share with you all my vacant mail list, the way that I send to vacant mailers. So does anybody understand that portion of it? If you're gonna send mail out, you're gonna get some received mail back to a return address, or some people send it to a PO box. We actually just received the mail back at our office, and I go through. If I send 1,000 mailers out, I usually get 100 back, about 10%. And 2 of those is usually a vacant mailer. They'll write VAC on it, or VC, or V. The mail clerk is always in a rush, so sometimes they'll mark through the address and just put a big V on it. But I'm actually looking for, you'll have non-deliverables, address not found, return to sender, no longer at this address, obviously, because they are passed away in probate. So the name sometimes doesn't match up with who's living there in the house, if they've done an affidavit of heirship or transferred the title. But the vacant mailers are a sure thing for me. because it kind of the cream of the crop. The I tend to get, they're the hardest deals to close if they're vacant, and in most cases there's title issues or some family member doesn't want to sell, but the margins are best if you can figure out the title issues. So we have a list of about 80 people right now. I'll show you. Actually, let me share my screen, right? I work off of this Excel sheet. It's something I developed. I can't share it. It's a big program. I can't share it. I can share it, but I'm actually going to move to selling it eventually. This is something I've been working on this year, so I could organize. I want my follow up to be consistent, and I want my mail to be eliminated as I go down the list. I get about 1,100 contacts a month from data pools, so I want to eliminate as much as I can. But on the reverse side of the funnel, I want to see who has a property to sell, but it may be vacant. They're not either ready to sell it. There's not enough code violations on it yet, or the taxes aren't delinquent enough, or there's some type of title issue where the family member doesn't want to sell it. So when I send mail out, and there's data right here, I changed the color to white so that YouTube will let us post it on here. They will take it down if so. Just imagine there's a bunch of information here. So what I do is I get the vacant mail back from my main sheet. I have 3,000 people on my, well, shoot, can't show that. Hang on. Not that I don't want to show you guys the data, it's just YouTube. So I send mail out to the PRs out of area, the local area, and the same address people, and then I get vacant mailers back. Probably 2 to 3, maybe 4 from every 1,000 that I send out are actually vacant. So then they end up on this list. So I have 65 on this list. And I tried to eliminate them too off this list, but what I do is I send, see the mailer here. I send, see, yeah, this may have been, I already edited, I'll go to the mailer. So I have 8 mailers I send after I know it's a vacant. So it's going to be 8 rounds every 10 days. So if it's a vacant address, it's going to go to the PR every 10 days. So I'm hoping they're probably going to miss a few of my mailers. I may reduce this down to 6 or 4, but right now it's every 10 days I send them a mailer for 80 for the 80 or the 65 houses. So it's not much. And I hand sign them. So it's not much. It just identifies that I know that it's vacant and that I wouldn't buy the house. And then I just give them a valuation tool to go to my website, my phone number, and it's just a branding tool. And then I ask them for a referral. So it's identifying it's a vacant house. I tell them what I could do for them, and I send them to a website or a phone number where they could contact me. I'm branded. I let them know that I can sell the house outside the confirmation of the probate, and I always ask for a referral. If I buy the house as an investor, I will pay up to $2,500 finder's fee. I find that when you offer that to the PR, they're more likely to call you. I don't know if they could accept that money, but I've never actually had to pay a referral. It's weird. They call me from the referral, but they never take it. Same with attorneys. It's really strange. It's really strange. So I have 8 of these, and all I did for these vacant mailers, there's nothing real tricky about it. I just took this language and put it into Chat GPT, or Chat GP 4 or 5, and I asked it to give me 8 versions of this letter, and every one of them make it interval. So it talks about I sent you a few letters, and then the last one's this is my final letter. So it's just a string of letters to try to contact the PR and get them to call me. They usually call on the 3rd or 4th one received.
And
So
David, you do a mail merge inside of Google Docs, right?
yes, that's everything is. It's kind of like an email. I've designed the system so it if you have a CRM, you're familiar with putting placements on emails and putting coding. So it's all like when my mail team puts a letter together, this postal address says the PR's name and the address it's going to. It's not the descendant address. It's not the vacant property. It's where it's going to. So when I print them in bulk, if I print 1,000, all they do is sit there. My people handwrite the envelopes. So they just look at every letter and write whatever address is here. And
Awesome.
yes, sometimes it's correct. Sometimes it's incorrect. It may have seems like California. I'm gonna pick on Bill Gross, but it seems like California is wrong a lot on some of their zip codes and addresses, but we try to correct it. So then same with placements, I place the descendant address in here so they know what I'm talking about. I have found that if you don't have the descendant address in the letter, they think you're talking about their property. That's a very good tip for you guys. It seems like when I call on a property, they think I'm calling about their personal residence. So I'm very clear on my letters that I'm sending it for the property in Texas.
Can I just jump in real quick and defend California? We have way bigger problems than zip code numeration. Trust me, way bigger problems than that. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Just kidding. Sometimes my data is wrong, so they have to fix it while they're writing it. But anyways, so this is just the idea. So when you send out a lot of mail, you get some vacant back. I think they're the most treasured ones. I'm going to put them in a special folder in my CRM. I'm going to try to reach out to these 65 people and figure out why it's vacant. They just may not be, for whatever reason, it could have been a mistake or whatever, but usually the vacant ones are something's wrong in the probate and they need extra help. For an example, I got a call from a guy in Houston for a house in Denton County, and the sister died 2 years ago this month. But in the probate, it mentions his sister, his other sister, and the brother being an executor. So they picked the other sister to be an executor, but she passed away as well 6 months ago. So now they have to switch to the brother being the executor. Now it's been 2 years and the house has been sitting there vacant, and the brother doesn't have any money to pay for the probate. So the attorney has filed a motion to cancel being the counsel. Plus, the mortgage company has sent a motion in to figure out who's going to be the executor because they can't. In Texas, they really can't foreclose on if it's an open probate case. So we're in a spot where Dave Pannell has to come in and pay $3,000 if I want to have access to this property, which I have no problem doing as long as they sign a contract to purchase, and then I could switch. We're going to relieve the other attorney because they're not interested in working this file anymore. We're going to move it over to my title company, and then I'll pay the back end fees of the probate to finish it. And it just takes a little bit time to build that up as for loyalty and trust, and for me to put money out front. So some cases, that's a little bit more in depth, but that's probably what you're going to run into on vacant properties. But also, if you're an investor, you're probably going to find that the vacant properties are the harder the solution to solve, the better margins for you to buy a property, most likely. Any questions at this point?
Sorry, I have a quick question. I didn't catch the part. So when you're sending out these vacant letters and they're being returned as vacant, what are you're still sending out letters? Like, who's retrieving the letters to even respond to you?
I'm sending them to the PR address. I only send one address to this.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that part. Thank you.
I'm overdoing it a little bit, and I'm testing the waters to see if I get yelled at. Because I know they don't open every letter. If they get 50 letters, they're probably opening 5 or 6 at a certain point. You just throw them away. That's what one guy. If you call these people, you're going to figure out that they just don't. In the beginning, they get a lot of calls. In the beginning, they get a lot of mail. So how do you get through and get to where they're opening your letter? And at some point, you're gonna have to call them, touch base. Don't be scared. You never know who you're gonna meet. And then you have mail. So I'm hoping that if it's a vacant property, they've avoided working the probate. They don't have the money to finish the probate, or the attorney just doesn't communicate with them for some reason. And that's usually some kind of tough situation. So, and then the house falls into being vacant where nobody could live there. Hopefully nobody moves in and squats there. And most of the times, if it has a mortgage on it, most probates don't have mortgages, but if it has a mortgage, you'll get locks changed from a mortgage company, and they'll put a lockbox on the house. At least in Texas, they will. Any other questions? Lively group. Thanks, y'all. I just thought this would be a good topic to cover for vacant mailers and for off-market properties. I download the list of listings that are tagged probate, and I check them against my list, and I end up with even a better list. But they're going to be harder probates probably. But you got the off-market probate listings that are usually expired or withdrawn or on hold status. On hold, I recommend calling the agent, see what happened, or even all of them. Call the realtor and see why they changed the status and didn't sell the property. And then also, at the same time, you can send letters to the PR referencing that they removed the house from the market and wondering if you could buy it or make an offer. There's usually something really tough about the title on those situations.
If I could just make a comment, just watching you, listening in.
Yeah.
I think the thing that strikes me, I've heard you talk about this subject, numerous times. I always learn a little something. I think the thing that agents who are looking to duplicate some of your success, not even all of it, it's just, when I listen to you, I note the depth of your detail in the process. And I think it's one of those things where, unfortunately, agents have been sold, oh, you just send a bunch of mailers and then you wait for the listings to come in, as if the listings come in a little letter, perfumed and signed by the customer. It doesn't work that way, right? And so I think the thing that you're upfront about, and that's why I think when I hear you, I can imagine other agents saying, "Man, this sounds tough." Well, it is tough. Yet it's productive, but this business is tough. And so I really appreciate you going into details and not sugarcoating it, but sharing with us kind of the nitty gritty and the frustrations that you work through. But when you work through them, that's where the money is.
It is, and the better deal. So I'm always looking for the harder the problem, the better the deal, I guess, even as a broker or realtor.
So it's life.
Yeah.
Everything in life, anything of value is hard work. Anything.
And there's not a place where you're going to have to, like Bill just said, I've gone through and I've sent mail over the last 8 years consistently. And you just get to the point, where you watch for patterns. And I remember some billionaire guy on some video said, when you get to the point where you're watching for patterns, you're in the right spot of when you're trying to convert something. So you're right, Bill, I'm looking for patterns of why people call me and for what reason. There's a letter that I have that I mentioned that I take care of solar panel liens. It's more likely in Texas now that somebody over the age of 75 has got duped into a solar panel lien and then they pass away. So probably I would say I've done 22 probates this year and I've dealt with out of 15%. So I've dealt with 4 solar panel companies, and they're worse than a mortgage company.
Wow.
You could barely find their information. If you get a hold of them, they want to resell the new buyer that's buying the property, the solar panels. They don't want to give a payoff. I'm dealing with one that's on a mobile home right now that's $53,000 for the solar panels. They installed them 3 months before the person died. It's insane. But back to the detail. Yeah, so just to give you guys an idea, I have my main I purchase leads from US Probate. And if you want to if you're going to do this at a high level, start with a couple counties. I buy 9 counties now. It's about 2,000 a month, but the conversions are all the same. So if you buy 1 county, you may get 1 deal. If you buy 9 counties, you're going to get just that many more calls from your letters. I'm just completely immersed in the probate business now. I don't really work anything else. So, but back to the detail, I'd randomize sometimes. So, my main data is when I first upload. To give you an idea, this is very advanced, so I don't want to scare you all away. But I upload my probate file every month. But then I download it once it's organized. So it automates the not AI, but it's automated to a point where I put scripting in there with Google Scripts to organize the data to put it where I need to put. Like I use Sierra Interactive, and they require a certain format to upload the leads. So that allows me to export them from this sheet. I know it sounds confusing, but I export it the way I need it. I import it to a call list. So I call the PRs out of area and the local PRs. And then you got your back to your vacant and your off-market properties. I could tag those a certain way so that I call them more often. The cream of the crop. And then once I have my list, before I print letters for the week, I download from MLS all the new listings that are tagged probate or foreclosure or short sale. And I check them against my list to see if an agent listed one of the houses so that I can remove it from my mail list. This week alone, I removed 67 from my list. And if I send 18 mailers to that,
075.
if I send 18 letters to that list, that saves me $700 of mail.
40.
Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my Probate Mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com. Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process, and this means that real estate is very often a burden on them, and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks.
So Dave, it's Lynette. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I got distracted. Frankie's off mute. Give me a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But no, it's okay. I've done it. So is your like foundation piece consistently your Excel spreadsheet, and then you're formatting and then uploading into your lead systems from there? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. And
It's
then
it's not terribly too hard. You could if you buy data, you could get on Upwork and have someone that's a whiz at Excel and
I
build it.
just hired my second VA, and I'm listening very intently because I have a chance. You know what I mean? So, and then it looks like you have your categories on the tabs below. Is that what I'm
Mhm.
seeing? And
Yeah.
then here was I got the question back. What's the criteria to remove them?
To remove them from my mail list.
Well, it's like listed or sold, of course, but okay.
Yeah, but I'm also moving them to an inactive list. So we're not gonna mail them at that time, but I'm looking as I run the list every week. Now, I just installed this feature on Friday, so I'm pretty proud about it. So now it moves things to an inactive list if it's listed, either active option, or whatever the for sale options are, sold or pending. But if it changes to hold or withdrawn or canceled, I'm going to reactivate it for a different mail list, and that's going to be my off market list, and it's only this week, it only showed 5. Imagine there's a bunch of information here. I just removed it for YouTube's purposes, not to delete this video.
Mm.
Dave, I have
okay.
a question too.
Yes. Frankie?
No, it's Eva.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hey.
You said you cover 9 counties. I mean, how are you physically? I mean, that would be a very long drive if I was covering 9 counties.
Yeah.
If I had, because you go, when they call, you're going to go look at the property, right? So how are you
Yes.
doing that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just committed to the process, so I'm going to pre-qualify the appointment. Like there's a guy that he's been in contract with a buyer for 6 months on a house. He's given the lady another 11 days to close on it. And then he's gonna give it to me. Someone's drawing on my. He's gonna give it to me to purchase her list, but it's 90 minutes from my house. But that's a deal. So in probate, it's worth it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I think that was me.
And when I was doing expireds and for sale by owners, 25 miles was the max I was willing to drive. But for some reason, I'm just really motivated when I get a call from probate. Maybe it's the amount of money I spend on mail, but I'm really motivated.
Your counties must be a bit smaller out where you are then, because I was like imagining your furthest drive to be like 5 hours.
Oh, no. I'm going to Greenville on Friday or Saturday, so that's technically probably 2 hours away. So it's in Grayson County. But on the outskirts of DFW, the Wise County, the Grayson County, Johnson, you don't really get a whole lot of calls from those or probated houses. It seems like the rural neighborhoods, they just deal with their probates and estates differently than people that live in the city. So most of my calls come from within 30-minute drive, 45-minute drive, or virtual. I've done several that I just listed the property and sent a photographer to do it. The last 3 I did that way, actually.
Hey, David, this is Nanette. I'm sorry, I accidentally drew on I don't know how it happened, but I'm on a new device.
That's cool.
Because my computer's in the shop, so I'm on a tablet.
Let me see if I could do it. I could draw.
So
I like that. Okay, I could draw for y'all. Stand by. We have we found a new church to go to on Sunday, and the guy draws everywhere. I'm like, this is my dude. He's an artist. So
that's hysterical. I
Yeah.
also get my leads from US Probate.
good, nice. Then if you look up there, Jeff didn't give me a lot of time to speak, but there's a call I did 2 weeks ago on their YouTube page.
I think I
So.
saw it listed somewhere. Maybe it was from an email, but I did recognize
Okay.
your name.
Nice. Yeah, so I love probate. So that's just, oh shoot. For some reason I muted myself playing with the buttons. Some reason the last 6 weeks have been kind of slow though. So, you always got to think about where you're at in conversions and calls, and so it's just fun to figure out.
Dave, when you said you took one of these listings virtually, did you have them like put you on FaceTime so you could look at the house, or how?
No, I just I guess you do enough real estate, you just you're just aware of. They're not in the best condition, the probates, so
Yeah.
it's not that you're trying to look for everything. We're listing them at probably 70% of value, and I get them to fill out the sales disclosure. It's not really required if they haven't lived there, being the executor, but it's nice that they know any problems with the foundation, plumbing. Try to list the age of the windows, the roof, see if there's been a roof repair or a newer roof. You try to do your best, but yeah, I mean, send a photographer over there and take pictures and put it on the market and sell it. But case by case basis, you know. I was trying to do that one with this Greenville lead, but he really wants to meet. He really wants me to meet one of the family members. So, and he's an administrator, the one that called me from Greenville. That's cool. That's even more removed emotionally for the house in the state.
Dave, I have a question.
Yep.
You said that
How do you undo it?
in Texas you can separate the property from the probate. How does that work when you sell it? That it goes into escrow? The money goes
No,
into
they just file a motion with the court to do a monument and a title. So it gives authorization to before confirmation. If there's no debt, if there's like a mortgage probably, but you're going to find the liens to pay off when you close, but it's a monument of title. You're just separating it so you could fund the estate, basically. You just file a motion with the court. The attorneys don't generally do it unless they're prompted to. Because technically probate is 1 month to 4 months in Texas. If you have a middle-sized estate or mid-sized estate, I've not really run into anybody with a large $1 million estate. So they're technically about 1 month to 4 months. And we have 4 judges in every county, so they move pretty fast.
I'm in Georgia, and I can't seem to get people to want to sell the house before all the probate is done. Like, I don't know if the laws are different in Georgia than Texas.
I have the same issue. It's no secret about getting someone to be ready to sell a house or even to sell a house. You just got to focus on that motivation. What do they need? Are they motivated to act prior to the confirmation? Do they need extra help? Do they need? Is it something that you could help them, with vendors to help them clean the house out? It's just. I honestly, I don't get a lot of people that want to sell before the confirmation either, but I offer it, so they call me.
Okay.
I think we're the opposite in California, and it probably has to do with the value of the property, because in a probate, from a federal tax law, I'm not an accountant, but there's tax liability due on appreciation of property. When you inherit the property, you get a free step up. But now you're liable for the property from when you get it versus if you're going to sell it anyhow. Now, if you're not going to sell it, it doesn't really matter. But if you're going to sell it, you have the tax is all on this estate. There is no tax liability on the appreciation of property. In California, we also have an issue where if they keep the property and then sell it later, they get reassessed because you now transfer the property unless it's parent to child. So, and then the last issue is that there's multiple heirs. The day that they distribute the property, they might all get along, but what happens is sometimes they divide it in thirds, and then a year or two later they want to sell the property, and one wants to sell, one doesn't. Now you have a problem. Whereas the probate can be a forcing factor to get it done. So I think David's right. You just have to find what their motivations are, and some of them, they don't have the motivation. There's not much you can do. But I would say almost all of ours end up getting sold.
Yeah. I mean, same here. I mean, it just takes, they may sell it at the 4-month mark when they get confirmation. They may think they could remodel themselves. They may wait 2 years. It just, For me, I just want to stay in touch if the house is not sold, or sometimes they tell me to stop sending them mail, but I'll still follow up with them if they own the house. I'll put them on a 6-month reminder, and sometimes I miss them. They sell in that 6 months. So it's just, and there's just a lot of people sending mail and calling. So you've got to put your number in the hat, I guess, and try to figure out how to contact them and be a reliable source for most people. Lynette, what are you working on with the VA?
So I have her working my entire retail business with collateral, et cetera, and making sure that everything's branded and quickly accessible. But with the probate specifically, I have one lead source, but there's a few others that, I mean, I could spend my life doing that.
Yeah, you can.
Taking them from and I've tried some AI, but taking them from a raw format and putting them in, in something repurposable and that feeds the CRM and drip
Yeah.
campaigns, et cetera. But yeah. I like that your basis is Excel, like the least common denominator, the most simple thing.
Yep.
Most programs will feed from a CSV file,
Yes.
and then it's manipulatable, and you can sort, etc. But I've been resisting that a little bit. I just want it to be a little easier, but I think that is the easiest way.
Yeah, it is. It's and then I was gonna show you just I just wanted to be consistent and make sure that I'm contacting everybody in my data, because I mean they're expensive. So
Mhm.
see
So,
here.
so are you starting out with mail first?
Yes.
Okay.
I do everything. So I want a complete business in probate. So this is I'm gonna add here off market. So I'm writing a little book. I'm not ready to share it yet, but I'm just writing. It's kind of like a SOP, I guess, a standard operating procedure of
Yeah.
how I want to do this. And it helps me if I could write it and type it. And then I have shared my Excel sheet for some money to 4 people, just so I could test it out. Um, and it's something that we could probably turn into a Google app, like a skip tracing thing eventually. So you'd go to a website and plug in your CSV file, and then it would give you the letters. That would be ideal. So that's kind of where we're going. But for when you have this data, you're talking about the raw data, and then I'm watching patterns of how people react or call. And I've just noticed in my own business that if you're starting new in probate, focus on the PRs out of the area. And those are the ones that are in a different zip code to me, not in my 7.5 or 7.6 zip code. So this is my criteria for how my probate breakdown is. I have out of area PRs. 90% of my conversions are those PRs because I heavily focus on it. The local PRs are here. They're probably live in the town over. They come to the barbecues of the person that passed away. Same address. It's usually a spouse or a child or a parent that lived with them. They didn't have a house, so it's just the same as last descendant address is the PR's address. Those are treated completely different, like a circle prospecting. If you don't know what circle prospecting is, just Google that. You just like neighborhood calling. And then probate non-responsive. If they don't respond to my initial letters and I can't get a hold of them, they end up on a non-responsive list for 5 years. And I just mail to them. I have 2,500 contacts on there the title hasn't changed. They haven't told me to take them off the list, I don't even know if they have a house to sell. My next big improvement to my sheet is to add some kind of AI tool where I could go and see if the title changed to the descendant address. That's gonna be cool. And then everybody talks about pre-probate. If you see in your county records a name that says estate of, and they're not on probate filings yet, you could in my counties, you could download every single house with ownership name of, you could just type EST. This is actually incorrect for the book. EST of, and you could download all the addresses that are changed to estate of. So they're preparing or they've completed some type of trust, taken out of a trust, removed the house from a trust, did an affidavit of heirship to move it into someone else's name. A ladybird deed was filed, something that is worth investigating or sending a letter to them. In Tarrant County alone, I have 4,800 people on that list. And then the vacant mailers that we talked about today, and then the off market. So I'll write that out. And then, we do mail to tax delinquent properties that owe more than $5,000. That, and cross-reference it to your probate list. So it gets more in depth. It gets really advanced. Any questions? Wouldn't a good time for. We got 60 people on this call. Nobody has a question?
There
Don't be
was a
shy.
I
question
do.
earlier asking, I think it was from Will. He was asking, the different ways that you could, monetize from probate, and like what does Mastery teach? Other ways of making money off probate besides real estate?
Yeah, I mean, you could, just to get the inbound lead, you could offer doing estate sales if you want some weekend money. I got a friend that here does estate sales, and she only does luxury estates, and she charges 50% of whatever's taken in. So the last one she did was she made $15,000 on. So they're lucrative to some degree. She's ranked very high up on the estate sale websites here. She's done a good job with reviews, and she pays the fee to be ranked high. So that's just one way you can make money, or giving vendors referrals, make money through that. Just be very creative. But I sell real estate, so I want to buy and sell houses. So I'm gonna really just hammer that down, because I know I may not get a deal today. I may go a month without a phone call, but I know at the end of the year, I'll close 40 to 50 probates, and it's a very good income. Stay in my lane.
So Dave, do you put do you normally put or facilitate a cash or investor offer on everything?
Not my first two letters. I usually I send, it's always an option, because I write that I'm going to make an offer. I'm not clear on what the offer is, but as the probate moves along, it's more of a cash offer, because they technically they're not looking for a realtor. And if you could get past that, you're going to win a lot of these deals. They may not know they need a realtor, or they may not need one. But if you present yourself in the appointment that you can make them more money, and if that's your goal, probably over half the people that you meet will list the property with you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. It's really, you're the gatekeeper. What do you want to offer? And if the house is really in bad shape, and you know that's going to be just stressful for you to handle a lot of buyer's agents, go ahead and buy it, clean it up a little bit, and relist it yourself if they're willing to. Some people want to save the 6%, but they'll lose $50,000.
Yes.
It's
consistently.
Yeah. So it's your chance to advise correctly, and if they understand the numbers, and understand your intention, I explain them everything I could do to them, and I show everybody comps. So, because no house is worth my license at all,
Nope.
or any confusion at all. And that's the best way I've learned to explain to people. And you can see when you have conversations that they just completely shut down. They don't want to have that conversation. Then don't talk to yourself about it. You can't talk them into it. Don't talk to yourself about it. It's not your problem.
Mhm.
But yeah.
No, I got it. Yep.
So no, go ahead. Someone's gonna ask a question. Good.
Hey, David, it's Lisa. I wanted to ask you, do you have a service that you use to send these mailers out, or are you sending these out yourself?
Yeah, we have ladies handwrite the envelopes and stuff them. We pay 25 cents envelope, and
Okay.
then obviously the cost of the stamp, the envelope and paper and ink. It
Okay.
works out to about $1 a letter. So we're sending a little under 5,000 mailers a month. So it's about
Nice.
$5,000. So
Nice.
that generally makes us. Some reason the last couple of weeks have been low, but it usually generates about 40, 50,000 in commissions, future commissions or commissions right away.
Okay. Nice.
And people actually hang on to your mail. That wasn't a question, but people hang on to your mail too. So you could get a call 12 months later on a mailer you mailed. So it's always good for them to have something in their hand.
So was it on one of Bruce's calls that it was a conversation of letters versus postcards, and letters are more effective? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
If you talk to anybody, postcards just don't work in the space.
Okay.
I mean, I would think if you were just making an offer for some kind of lucrative inbound call, like I've got your pie ready or something, like a seasonal. I've toyed around with maybe sending seasonal postcards to people, but maybe it's just the closed clients that you have that'll work on. I'm thinking about doing a referral. Hey, I'll pay you a referral postcard if you know somebody selling a house, but I don't really get a whole lot back from that, and they never really want the referral fee, so it's really weird.
Dave, do you wholesale properties also?
Yes, yep, absolutely, yep.
What
And
percentage? What percentage
half
is wholesale?
this year. It's half. Yeah, it was higher last year. It was over 80% last year. And then we actually close on them too to remodel them if the numbers are right. Right now with this economy, there's a lot of hard money lenders that have some money that is not going out. So just yesterday, I've got turned down from one hard money lender 9 times. I keep track of it, and I questioned her on it. I said, "You turned me down on the last 9 properties. I had to go find somebody else." And she's like, "I'm sorry." And then she's begging for me to borrow money now. It's like, just blows my mind sometimes. Because we've always borrowed money from the lady, and all of a sudden the spigot was turned off. We didn't do anything wrong. We've always paid her back, paid on time, paid her fees and interest. But I'm glad she did that because then we found somebody else. I called on some past clients that got some money, and I turned one guy into an investor, a hard money lender, for a lot less. So now she's going to match those fees if she wants to borrow money from her. You just get better. So the whole point is, if you want to take away from this call, it just gets better and better as you get better. Like this Excel sheet, it just narrows down. It moves the cream to the cream to the top, where the vacant mailers are your best mailers. And if you want to focus on those, and you call them and you door knock them, whatever you want to do, try to get a hold of the PR. They're the person selling the property. Did y'all? Who was on the call last week with Renee? That was a really good call. Y'all need to go watch that video. That was excellent. Excellent. I'm going to
Dave,
change a little.
what was it about?
just the way he makes his videos and interviews the attorneys.
Thank
You
you.
know,
I think it's Reen, not Renee. Reen is how you pronounce his name.
Green,
Like
green, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Never mind.
Okay.
Green.
Okay. Thanks.
Damn it, I called him Renee too. Dang it. Sorry, bud.
How do we access that video?
YouTube.
Oh.
It's on the podcast, Probate Mastery. Really good. Yeah, that was an excellent call. I've spent some money trying to convert these attorneys and get referrals, and I just think it's the way that he's going about it. Maybe a little bit more call to action for the marketing wise, but to sit there and interview and talk to an attorney on YouTube for 60 minutes, that's pretty cool. Like Bill Gross does. Bill, you want to talk about? Yeah, Bill does a really good job. So I'm talking about Reen. Shoot, go Bill. Dang.
No, I mean, to be honest, Reen is somebody who I met on this program, and we kind of huddled together and talked about how to coordinate a little bit. And he's a great guy. I think you have to find your own path. It's interesting, as successful as you are, you and I do different business totally different. You attack the PRs. I only attack the attorneys. You mail out, do an email. I do interview attorneys. I have a podcast. Probate Weekly is the podcast, probateweekly.com, or on YouTube at Probate Weekly. And I interview attorneys, and it's lead generation. I talk. It's funny. Okay, we'll let the cat out of the bag here. You know, I call attorneys because I need the content for the podcast, which is my lead generation and follow-up system. But it's funny, at the end of the recording, the attorneys always say, well, we should do some business together. I'm all, wow, I hadn't thought about that.
That's awesome.
Now, I do offer how I help them. There's certain things that I do that help them. It gets a little sophisticated. I don't want, get into that detail. I talk about it on this call from time to time. But and all of it's on my podcast. But my point is, nobody wants you to say, oh, give me your business. They want you to help them with what they're doing. And so I put him on my podcast. It gives him exposure. All of y'all who are real estate agents should have the podcast and use that to market your clients, whether they be attorneys or small business owners, restaurant owners, community members. I do that. I have several podcasts. So that's what I do.
That's cool. Yeah. And I've always watched Bill do his thing, and I've always like, I need to do that. I need to do that.
And I'm just me. Imagine if I was as good looking as Dave Pannell and had the charm and charisma he had. I'm me, and I imagine do well with this thing. So anybody can do this.
And it's I think it's baby steps too. It's like, don't think you need my Excel sheet right away. Maybe you pick a few people to mail to, like the PRs out of area, and build up your bank account a little bit, or make some closings, get familiar with the transaction itself. There is a few extra steps, a few extra team members you need, a title company specifically. But yeah, on a daily basis. So it's just like, what can I do to make a full circle converting lead machine out of the probate leads? They don't need you as a realtor at first. They have an attorney. So they're not thinking, oh, let me hire this attorney or let me hire this realtor because he sent me a letter. No, it's when they get closer to the end, the confirmation, they start thinking that, unless someone's just been bugging them. So just a full circle business. You got letters, you got a podcast, you got just regular social media posts that are tagged probate, attorneys list that you could sponsor lunches with, be part of their world on lunches or going to the offices or spending 60 minutes interviewing. I always think that I'm not a good interviewer when I have to talk to a legal professional, but I'm going to learn to do it. It's just, yeah. In 5 years from now, I always say 5 years from now, I want to have a business in probate that people come to me because they know that I'm good at getting these deals done. And it's just a slow burning process, which I love to build.
So I have a question for you too regarding video and interviewing. I thought for sure that's how I'd start. And I haven't scaled the way you have, Dave, but it's all word of mouth, which is great. you know, and I'm ready and able, et cetera, et cetera. So if I'm doing YouTube channel and video and I have one video, I'm not I'm not inclined to send it out to show everybody my one video. And I understand, you know, you have to start somewhere, but did you kind of like bank them a little bit before you like?
Well,
Okay.
I've been doing review videos and then property videos. So I think it's a mix. On YouTube, I think you need to have a niche on so your audience knows what they're watching. But also the keywords are they're gonna I'll go back to your question in just a second, but you know, the keywords are gonna find you. So if you have one video, fine, you need to build on that. And so what I did, thinking about what Reen does for attorneys, I'm going to include estate professionals. I'm going to interview my friend, and then I actually had two people sign up on my calendar to do their estate business, and then I'm going to start interviewing the senior moving people or the moving companies in the area, just the vendors. So instead of like having a vendors list, I'm going to start doing a vendors interview, and to include 80% attorneys, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit to have some vendors in there. So you may do that to get warmed up on the interview process. You may watch Bill's videos or Renee's or mine, or not Reen's, sorry. Don't kill me, bud. So you just need to warm up to it. And don't overpressure yourself. Try to schedule one a week, one every 2 weeks, and then learn to edit that video as fast as you can and make a couple short videos out of what they, as you edit video, just off topic, you'll see their volume meter go up, and you can cut the video there and splice it real easy of when they're giving good advice. Bill, do you ever go in and edit the videos, or do you have someone that does that now?
I'm going to jump off in a minute because I have an appointment with a customer.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a chat link. Anybody who's interested, you can call me directly. We can do a 15-minute call. I'd be glad to help answer questions if you get in my calendar. I don't spend any time editing. I have a virtual assistant. We do a little bit of editing. The beauty of interviews is you don't have to edit them. And I don't get paid to edit. I get paid for the content. And I would say to Lynette, you wouldn't like me to coach you. I'm a little tough, but I would say just do a video every day for like a month. And the first 29 will be terrible, and you'll cry, and you would hate me, and you'll curse at me, and then the 31st will be not pathetic. The 32nd will be a little less bad than the other ones, and then after a while, you'll get good at it. But I would just say, it's like anything else. Why would you think you'd be good at it right away? Nobody's a born talent like that, but it's really important to communicate. It's really important to have reusable content, and so I would encourage you. But anybody who's interested, just put in the chat box a link if you want to get my calendar. I'd be glad to do it. And I'm sorry, I have a client meeting here at noon my time. I'm already a minute late, so forgive me for jumping off. But reach out if I can help at all.
We're done anyways. It's been, hopefully y'all have learned something. I'll take one more question if you want to stick around, and then we'll get out of here. Anybody?
Okay, I'm going to jump in with the last question.
Okay.
So have you done any classes or heard of anyone doing any classes? I'm thinking about partnering with an attorney and then marketing to PRs to have them come out to a class. I'm thinking that maybe a little less pressure, giving them something of value. And then, once they're ready, that they would reach out to use me to sell the real estate. So just want to know if you've done that before. Have you heard of anyone doing that before, and any tips that you may have that you can offer on that?
I don't think I'd do in-person meetings like that. I think it too much time involved, and it'll cost money that you're not gonna, like, it's not repeatable, like Bill just said. I would definitely take that class to YouTube and film whatever you're going to talk to with whoever you're going to lean on for expertise, and then leave that on YouTube forever.
Okay.
Just get a regular, the camera we use here. They're $150, and then get whoever, you'll spend $150 probably food and decoration and marketing material. It's just do something that it lives forever on the internet, and make sure the keywords are there that So anybody in their spare time could watch it. And then those people will call you because they look at you as a celebrity rather than just somebody they. Have you ever met somebody at an event and they took your card and then you just never hear from them? That's going to happen if you have an in-person event, most likely.
Okay.
Because we get busy, we don't follow up with the people. I've done events and I can't remember the person's name the next day. But
Okay.
if you did the same idea on YouTube or Facebook video and it stays forever, that'd be a really great idea.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Rigo, just real quick.
Yeah. You talked about splitting, what is it? Making as far as the videos are concerned, what is it? Shorts, doing the short videos,
Yeah.
splitting yeah, okay. All right, that's a good idea because we're producing we've got like 22 videos up, right, on YouTube.
Yep.
And really we're foreclosures, but man, we hit a lot of probate, hence the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
I gotta figure this stuff out, but we're putting the stuff out. We've got a blog, blah blah blah.
That's great.
And it's every week. Gotta be consistent. Every
Yeah,
week.
and I would make the biggest tip with like I was talking to Reen, he posted on YouTube, but go ahead and get the transcript and make a blog out of it and post the video in the top 1/3 of the page, and then rank for that person the keywords, attorney, their name, and you're gonna find after you have 100 videos like that, that you're probably gonna outrank them on the internet when they try to look for that attorney. So
Yeah,
you may have a PR that hired that attorney 4 months ago. They may have not heard from that attorney, and then they're going to find your webpage and be like, "Oh, this guy's been sending me mail or calling me." This is, it's all full circle.
yeah,
You
I
know?
like to think of it as like the boomerang thing, because we're doing
Yep.
that. We got the YouTube and we've got the blog and we've got the video on top of, whatever
Yeah.
the information on the YouTube video. That's the information on the written aspect of the article, and at the very top, bam,
Bam.
is the video, and it's hosted
And
by YouTube.
There's really no excuse for this now because AI could write it all for you.
Absolutely.
AI,
Absolutely.
ChatGPT, go pay the $20 a month.
Yeah,
And then
that's what we do.
put prompts in there to prompt it for what you want. The prompts don't overthink a prompt. It's a sentence of instruction. Like, hey, I want to put peanut butter on top of the jelly on my sandwich.
Yeah.
Can you please write me a blog about that?
Yeah.
That's it. That's your
we're-
prompt.
Yeah, we're pretty good with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. I'm gonna do shorts, answers my question, and the level consistency is everything. And I liked your mailer with
Like Sean Ryan does when he interviews people, he'll post he does 6-minute shorts now because he does like Joe Rogan, the 2 to 4 hour shows. But for our example, if you have a 30-minute video, you could do a short that is saying that's coming soon for the whole interview part, which is cool.
Cool. Then I'll do that so that way I can milk it for everything it's worth.
That's right. And then over time, you'll be amazed.
Yeah, I'm thinking 40. When we hit 40 videos, I think we're going to start seeing some traffic, organic traffic.
Yeah.
Best leads on the planet.
Years ago. This is just very minimal, but years ago I put I used to do videos of my own real estate, and I would do walkthrough videos or capture just B-roll, and then I put it on a site that paid me to sell it to people because it was 4K footage. Probably once a month I get a $40 fee in the mail, or in my account saying I have $40. Someone bought my video footage because it's out there on the internet. Someone's buying it, and somebody's bought that website over time. I never edited it. There's probably 1,000 clips of like 5-second B-roll of Texas houses that people buy for their own videos. It's great. You never know what's going to happen.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you, and hopefully y'all got a lot from this call. Kind of went on. I'm very good at being all over the place, so thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.